great. And now I'm all like,
well, that's what it does. Let me know when we're live.
I will. It's like still spinning, and
it's
I don't
a spinny end of, technically it's last day of retrograde, but it's not because we have the post shadow.
I was like, yeah, maybe we're not going live tonight.
I just did my dance and everything. I'm ready.
Oh, that's so weird.
Do you want me to exit out and come back in?
No, it is not you. It's
okay.
It can't be you. It's just whatever it is. It's so weird. Having trouble connecting, please. Oh,
my beautiful girl. Someone's seeing us.
So, okay.
We are live, I guess. Hi,
like,
Terry.
I was like, are we live, Terry? Please tell me if we are live, because my computer is telling me we are not live.
Mr. Mercury is playing some funny. Oh, we're definitely live. Look at, I just opened it up to see, and we be live on Facebook.
Okay. I was like, because right now it's saying that we're not on my, okay. Hi, Ursula. Thank you. And hello, CC. So we were literally just talking about retrograde right before we popped on. And then it's like literally saying up here, I should like take a little picture, a screenshot, because it's still telling me that we're not live, even though we actually are. So yeah.
Classic Mercury.
Boom. I can't wait till it's done, because as I stated, it's now telling me we're live. So here we go.
We are live. 1 minute and 31 seconds. 31's my number, so I'm into that. That was a little kiss from the angels, I think.
That's wonderful. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for coming in and saying hello. They do have tricks, Ursula. They have major tricks. I was just telling Mandee before we got on here, Mercury retrograde did not hit me at all until like the last week. And then it was like fuckery 101, excuse my French, but that's pretty much what's happened. And so it's just been like poo, 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 poo. And yeah, so it's been quite the ride. A week. It's been a hell week. I'll put it that way. So I hope
you and everybody else, sister.
I hope everybody else is getting through it a little bit easier and swifter, but this last week has got me. So
I felt very human the past like couple of weeks during this retrograde, and like my human really caught up. And it's like, that's what happens a lot of times during retrograde. What we're doing is we are resting and reevaluating and recalibrating and resetting and redesigning and all of that stuff. And what'll happen is sometimes it almost feels like we're not connecting with spirit, or we have a hard time getting signs or communication or things like that, or they come in longer, even just getting live right tonight and like things like that. But it's happening for us in order to spend some time with our humans, spend some time with our ego, see what's really going on and what our deep work is at this time, in order to, keep on keeping on our soul path, and to integrate that and to refocus and reprioritize ourselves. And so it's so funny because so many people I know, including myself, it's just been really irritable the past couple weeks. There's been a lot of heavy energies, more sensitivities, things that we were hoping work out, didn't work out. One of my best friends is a realtor. So many houses and contracts were falling through, or, inspections last minute, just all like the classic things. And like these things will weigh on us after a while. And you might even just wake up one day and like sometimes, things work out amazing and you feel like, okay, I feel really lined up today, and then every other thing gets in the way. And it's important to do our best to honor whatever human feelings are coming up, and then remember the energies that we're all working with and reintegrating right now. So if it was crazy for everybody, just know you're not alone. This is the time that we're meant to reevaluate, redirect. A lot of relationship stuff comes up and more communication, and sometimes you just think you're both totally on the same page and you realize you're not, and then you got to talk about it, or whatever it is. Like, no harm, no foul. It just is what it is right now. So welcome, everyone. We are so excited you're here. We are talking all about this last Mercury retrograde and the things that have been happening and all the stuff that's been coming up. So if you wouldn't mind sharing with us a little tonight, maybe drop a comment and some love saying how the past couple of weeks have been treating you energetically. And the cool thing about it is now we're going to be moving into the post Mercury retrograde shadow. And so it'll still be a little tricky, but things are going to start getting lighter and lighter. And that's really exciting. So Crystal, you want to welcome our people on?
I was gonna say hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. I feel like that old lady from like the Christmas Vacation. Um, we've got so many people who are here, and everything that Mandee just said is exactly what I'm going through. So thank you, Mandee, very much for speaking so beautifully of the retrograde. That is why we love Mandee to pieces, because she just knows how to put everything into words, and I love her for that because she makes us all feel like home. Terry, Ursula, Cece, Heather, we have Kevin, we have Sophia, Jennifer, and everybody is saying hello and they're wonderful. And Sophia says, tired a lot of the time for me, but gave myself grace and chilled the F out and allowed myself to be lazy. That's super important too. She also says finances have been booming this retrograde. Super. And that's amazing because I have talked to so many people that are having the opposite effect for finances. So the fact that you are experiencing booming finances, I give you 2 thumbs up because girlie, you got to be doing something right for that, not to sideswipe you the way it has everybody else. We started a business during it and it's been busy. Congratulations.
Can we pause there for 1 sec? Because that's how this retrograde energy works. It's like either it's one way or the other way. And there's like, you know, a lot of things where it's like we can add fuel to the fire and we just got to figure out how we're going to respond to whatever's going on. And like I was born during a retrograde. So a lot of times things really line up for me during retrogrades. Like I like have called in some things that I've been manifesting and it started to drop in right now, which you wouldn't think it would, but sometimes it does. So I love that that's working for you, Sophia. And I love that you brought that up and you're sharing that with us, and everybody keeps sending, all of us, but Sophia, you know, nice abundance vibes because she's doing it.
I love that. So Andrea says hello from San Diego, feeling out of it. Yes. And you know, like I said, I didn't feel anything until like the last week, maybe week and a half. But everything was super smooth sailing. I was like, awesome, finally, cool retrograde. And I think Ursula said that I had a retrograde too. I can't remember. I just had my reading with Ursula last week. There's been a whole lot of information coming in for me over the last week. I've dived in. And so, yeah, it's kind of a lot of processing power. I've got 3 different journals going right now. So I have to keep track of my chaos and my mess, and it's like all over the place and trying to hone in on all those things. So I love that. And yes, I've been feeling it out of it only for the last couple days. Jennifer says, to be honest, I feel great. I thrive in chaos, and kind of the name of Jenny's the game. Sorry, can't read. I was also born in Mercury retrograde. I think I deal differently due to that. And I thank you, Urs, for that help and direction. I think that's funny because Jennifer and I are a whole lot alike in a lot of different ways. I usually thrive in chaos too, but it's different types of chaos that I thrive in. And when it comes to my own personal growth and trauma, I don't deal with that chaos very well. That's when like 15-year-old Crystal that was just completely mistreated comes out. And then it's like karate chopping everything. So that's a different story. But usually in other forms of chaos, I deal very, very well. So I understand that.
And Crystal, for you and for all of our listeners, like being just aware of that, like, oh, 15-year-old, you know, Crystal's coming out. Like, that's incredible. And that's half the work and half the battle. And like, yeah, oh, Jen's our amazing sound healer. She runs the Jade Doe Project and offers incredible sound healing and support in one-on-one sessions. She's an amazing artist. She does art therapy, and she's certainly been through all kinds of things. And one of those is being a veteran, which we honor her and thank her for as well. And yeah, a lot of like myself included and Crystal and so many people who are on here right now do thrive in chaos. And a lot of us were trained to do that just because of our own traumas and dramas growing up or different things that we chose to do. For me, like I love it and I do well. I'm really good at like emergency management and disaster relief, and like I can show up and like walk into a fire and like help with stuff like that. But it's always so important to remember to really debrief after and allow yourself to release or remember that you're holding so much, even if you're amazing. And so there's so many different ways you can do that. I know Jen does that with her sound bowls, but I just wanted to encourage anybody else who thrives through chaos and has been really pushing it this week to give yourself a little permission, to give yourself some love and some tenderness and some quiet time to go and decompress and release all that you've been walking right through, because there's just been potent energy for everybody. So thanks for bringing all that up and for sharing, Jen.
And Heather says that her electronics have been messing up. And is that a retrograde thing? Yes. But I just got to tell you, I think that a lot of that is your spirit people. You got so many people on the other side, and they're probably, some of them some of them, are probably talking through your electronics because they don't know yet how to communicate with their emotions. And so when spirit recently gets to the other side, you have to understand that they have to learn how to speak a completely different language too. So it'd be like you waking up in some different country and having to learn the language overnight. It's very difficult for somebody who did not know how to empathically speak of their feelings to just be able to share that on the other side instantaneously. We would think that spirit would know how because the communication would be the same. When people hear spirit communication, they think that they talk to us like this. There is so not that. They do share their words, but it's mostly through their energy and their thought base instead of actually speaking with their human language. And so there's so much more to that. So I think that a lot of your people are using that because the electronics help with their vibration as well. So it helps them communicate with you and let you know that they're cool and, you know, still holding your hand, which is what they're giving to be. So Mercury retrograde, probably, because I'm not going to say no, especially after dealing with what we are. But I'm also going to tell you that you have a lot of people that are trying to give you love in your life because you gave them a lot of love prior to their passing. And I think that there's a lot of thank yous coming through because there's also a lot of clarity that's opening up on the other side that maybe people didn't understand was happening or has happened, that maybe they took at face value when you tried to explain and express in your alive life. So just know there's going to be a lot of epiphanies probably happening for you over the next 6 months because they're making me feel like they're going to give you clarity to understand that you were right about a lot of things, even though it wasn't received to the people who you were going to and trying to express and explain things to. Like, I don't think there was a lot of receiving. So that's how they're presenting that to me with you, dear. And I just want you to know that. Michelle, hello. I also, beautiful Michelle. I think that is absolutely beautiful. It just like rolls off the tongue and it just has such a good energy behind that name. Hi, what kind of reading do you do, please? You do playing cards. We don't do playing cards. We are not pulling out jokers here. You probably don't want that for our lives, other than tarot cards or whatever Mandee does use. Thank you for taking time out of your day to do this and sending love and peace and happiness, joy and laughter. That's awesome. And yes, Mandee does do card readings. So if there's anything specific, you can make a comment and say, hey, I want to know about this, or I just want something general. And Mandee does have a beautiful array of all sorts of cards and many other ways that she connects with spirits. So she would love to do that if that's something that you need currently in your life. Thank you for tuning in.
And I'll just to add just a little more clarity for anyone, like basically what happens is I hold space with your higher self and your angel team to make sense of what's going on now and why. And when we hold soul space together for longer periods, it's really nice because it's your time and you get to really find out whatever you want as best as we can help you from the angels. So sometimes I'll use a pendulum for clarification. Sometimes I'll use angel cards, oracle cards, tarot cards. Tarot is really cool. I think we should have a whole episode on it really soon because it can be scary. It's got a lot of like superstition around it. But really what it is it's set up to be a direct connection from your higher self and God in order to kind of have a talk with yourself and your soul and your spirit and see where you're at in your own ascension path. Your own ascension path is just that journey to consciousness, that journey to becoming a more evolved human and coming and being and integrating down here in the way that our souls truly wanted to. And really learning how to dance with our ego, because even though our egos get a bad rep, it's still you in this lifetime. It's your best friend, your gumption. It's who you are. It's the difference between Crystal being Crystal in this lifetime and Cleopatra in another lifetime and Joan of Arc in a lifetime, or a farmer, or whatever you were. Our egos are that compilation of personality that we create in each lifetime. And so it's so important to merge them and dance with them and honor them, but allow your heart and your soul to lead and to lead you forward. And that's why we have this kind of energy of like going a little higher or ascending. And really what it is becoming more emotionally mature and becoming more and more self-actualized as we go. And it's the journey of a lifetime. And so that's what I support and help you on. I help people to clear traumas and dramas and find purpose to their pain and learn more about the spiritual world. I work with lots of other healers too, and help them on their path so that they can do their work better, or I help teach people the magical arts. So there's all kinds of things that can come up, but that's what we do. And Crystal, I'd love it if you'd share the readings that you do too.
I am a spirit channeler teacher, is how I'm going to start calling myself, because spirit deals with channeling, yes, especially if somebody's heart needs to be held in that way. But spirit loves to channel teaching through me and speaking, learning how to communicate with spirit. And I feel like people don't understand. They want to know the creepy aspects of things and they want to have those interactions. But they don't understand that, like, with the interactions that you experience, there's an understanding in that communication. And diving in deep to your own traumas and dramas, as Mandee just said, has actually helped me accelerate my gifts and understand them in a different way, but also hold space with spirit without judgment. And that's incredibly important for anybody who wants to communicate, understand, and or utilize their gifts, because spirit is just as filled with lack of trust towards humans and other people the same way, because we are asking them to share their deepest, darkest experiences of life. And they won't do that with you unless they can trust that you're going to hold that space with them without judging them. And so I do a lot of spirit teaching and how to understand the communication. A lot of our first feelings regarding spirit are fear. Well, there's nothing to fear. If they're giving you fear first and foremost, it doesn't mean run the opposite direction. It means that there's something in their life that they feared and or some type of experience in fear that they had prior to their passing. And so that's what you're going to feel first. And so learning how to dissolve all of those things helps us understand the communication better, so we can sit with the experience and really receive what we need to receive from spirit, because they're not talking out of their ass, guys. They're talking to give us something, to give us some type of understanding and to help us understand ourselves. And so it's all a gift. And so if spirit gives you that opportunity to share their energy, then you need to receive it with love and you need to sit with that. And that's kind of what I do. And that's kind of what I'm reshaping myself for. And so, yeah. And it's funny because Mandee is such a beautiful angel healer. And I'm going to take the time. We didn't talk about who she was prior to. There is a website link in the description on this that is for Sea Goddess Healing Art Center. And it has her in there, but it also has, you will hear us talk about Jennifer. You're going to hear us talk about Ursula. Lexi is also on here every now and then. So there's so many of us that are a part of that. And you will actually find that link if you want to find any of the healers and what their resources and stuff are, because all of them have something beautiful to lay to the table of life. And if you're dealing with anything, that's probably a good place to go, because you can, read their bios and see what they have to offer. So that's you'll hear us talk a lot about Sea Goddess and mention some of the people who are involved in it.
And we're doing our first Sea Goddess online soul circle, which is going to be really cool. And on Zoom, it's for $11.11. And you'll get to hold space with all the Sea Goddesses. And we're going to each offer a little something to hold a beautiful soul circle. And you can come. It doesn't matter if you're, a lot of times soul circles are female oriented, but this one is open to everyone. And it's very much going to be set in holding some sacred space. We'll do a little bit of breathing and meditation and sound bowl healing and some readings. We'll connect with spirit. We will pray a little bit. And it's just a really nice place to just kind of hold some space, and everyone will have an opportunity to share if they'd like or not. And you'll see, it's a really nice environment. So we invite you all to join us, and all the details are on SeaGoddessHealingArts.com.
I'm going down and I'm making sure that we have everything where it needs to be. And I'm going back up. So Terry says, Terry had commented on one of my videos on my YouTube page. And she said that she talked to Jen because I said I would do a virtual walkthrough of their house because she wants to know who is in their house. And I don't feel like it's family. I think that it's somebody else. And it was funny. I tell Jen congratulations on her wedding. She's getting married on Saturday. So this is going to be a big, huge, awesome experience for her. Let me know. Send me a message and tell me what works for you. That's all I'll say. I don't even know that I'm going to have to do a walkthrough. I'm just going to tell you that. I could probably explain and express within 2 seconds what it is that I'm experiencing, because you have a wooded property like offset on your space. And I don't think the house is there anymore, but there was a property and there's some fun stuff. So that's all I'll say. And Sophia says it's working for me because I feel like my protections are up. That's awesome. I'm aware of my surroundings and I adjust every day based on how I feel. Good job. I know you've done a lot of work to get there and experience that. And I think that's super awesome for you. Jennifer, it does get me on the tech I think that's like the tech end. Thank you guys. The love is mutual. I'm blessed to have healthy women to grow with, as am I. Holy crap, as am I. Terry, this must be why I have felt so off the last couple weeks. Heathered, I wondered about that. My radio will change from radio to CD to aux on its own, and it's normally when I'm alone. Yes, see, that's spirit saying, hey, Heather, that's creepy, but in a good way. Sophia, I'm getting chills with what you were saying for Heather. Heather, thank you. Terry says lost, and I'm not sure what this. Oh, okay. This must be what I have felt lost over the last couple weeks. So I think that's what she meant. She's been feeling a little bit lost, disconnected in this retrograde energy, I think is what Terry was saying. And yes, retrogrades do that, because instead of the energy and momentum, and Mandee can correct me if I'm wrong, instead of the energy and momentum going forward, it's kind of like a slingshot that pulls you back before you go forward. And so it's kind of a way for us to reflect backwards on some of the things that have happened or are happening, or some of that healing that was missed during the last retrograde. And it brings it back up to the surface so we can revisit it and we can kind of hit it this time around. Does that make sense? Is that what it is, kind of?
Totally. It's a time to integrate the lessons you learned. Like, you might be learning and growing and wonderful things are coming. Maybe you change some habits, stuff like that. And then it's the opportunity to really do the work and stick to it and cross your T's and dot your I's, and also allow yourself to really reevaluate where your energy centers are and what's serving you and what's no longer serving you. And that doesn't mean like, you have to cut everything out of your life for this or that. It just means there's shifts happening for you. And honestly, it happens very naturally as we're moving into the darker times now, and the sunlight is getting a little shorter each and every day. It happens naturally with us. And Ursula taught me a wonderful word she likes to use in her life called pruning. And we got to prune back things no longer serving us. We have so much energy in summer, and we're go, go, go. And you're eating dinner and going out after for many, many more hours and enjoying the sunlight. And now it's the time where we're starting to get darker and nestle in and wanting to, allow it's fall, allow what's no longer falling, serving us to fall away a little bit and start to really nourish ourselves in order to get ready for winter time. So there's just a big shift happening energetically for everyone. But then we have Mercury on top of it too, which really encourages us to reevaluate and do that work and integrate the lessons that we learned over the past few months. And also, like, if you didn't get to a project, like for instance, I bought paint to paint my room like 4 months ago during our last Mercury retrograde, and life was crazy and things were crazy. And that project did not get finished until this weekend. And that happened, because I had some wonderful help, which I'm very grateful for. And also because it was the time loop that came back up to cross the T's and dot the I's. And I set that intention a while ago and it didn't happen. And so it was almost like the universe just made it happen. Like, I didn't even plan to do that this past weekend, but we got a storm and I was here and stuff happened and it all just came together. And I'm like, thank you. And I did. I thanked Mercury and my help many times. So it's pretty cool how that all comes together. And it happens in weird, subtle ways and for you.
I'm going to talk about this in like more of like a skeptical way, because a lot of people talk about Mercury retrograde being the reason or cause for things in their life. And I roll when that's the case, when people are like actually blaming retrograde, not like in a funny offset way, but whatever. And it's like, I can understand and see how people would be like, oh my God, nobody has the ability to feel or experience these things because they just don't believe in that. So I'm going to do a devil's advocate here when it comes to talking about that. Whether you want to look at it as Mercury retrograde or not, there's just a ebb and flow of life. And healing is what healing is. We have to move forward. Like, literally, time doesn't go backwards. As we get older, it goes forwards, which means that we have to keep going forward. But to completely diminish the fact that things have affected you in your life and not ever take accountability or try to sit with those things and just continually pushing those down, like, that's the reason why most lives fall apart. That's why relationships fall apart. That's why relationships with self fall apart. That's when anxiety come in. That's when depression come in. That's when PTSD comes in. And that's when those things get worse and worse and worse. It's because we're just constantly taking and pushing and pushing and pushing. And eventually through our life, we run out of space. Our body's only so big, and our body can only house so much. And so that's when things start to happen physically. It happens physically because mentally and emotionally, we haven't dealt with shit in our life. And so whether you want it to be Mercury retrograde or not, I guarantee you just felt something with what I just said. And so it doesn't matter what it is, calling you to acknowledge the healing that needs to come to the surface. There's healing that needs to come to the surface. It's not about that. So that's why that happens. It comes back over and over and over to readdress the things that maybe we sifted aside because we didn't have the opportunity in that moment to really dive in and figure it out. And so it'll keep coming up and keep coming up and keep coming up. And so it's a beautiful moment of healing. It's just really how we look at it. It doesn't have to be this ugly space. Yeah, it's a little trickery. So it's kind of like one of those trickster spirits that I talk about, like to give us a little mental manipulation. That's why we have to stay on track. And so use it as a way to grow and love yourself a little bit better and dive a little bit deeper into the knowledge and understanding that you really already have inside of yourself. Traumas, dramas, and people have taken that from you. So we all have the understanding and information, and that's why sometimes it comes up, and that's why sometimes it doesn't. And so just take it for what it is. That's it. Sorry. Off soapbox.
Amen. See that?
Stepping off.
Right. I love it. I love it. And you were getting, Jennifer was giving you some fire. I saw Jessie May hopped on. Hi, Jessie May. We have another new comment from Michaela. And if you guys are just hopping on, we're going down all the comments and having chats about Mercury retrograde and what's going on in everyone's life and how this time has been treating you as Mercury goes direct today, but we still got the shadow over the next couple weeks. So we're just sharing and catching up, and we're so, so grateful all of you are here. And I also saw Kevin made a comment, but I don't know if we said hi to him in the beginning. So hi, Kevin. Thank you.
We did say hi to Kevin.
Okay,
I love Kevin. He's so sweet.
Good.
Sophia, I have had a reoccurring dream about my husband, and the other night something clicked, and I said, you either care or you don't. When we talked through a situation, and all of a sudden I woke up, but my eyes were closed, but then I saw a green aura type light / fireworks. I feel like I unlocked my heart chakra and passes some sleep lesson thoughts. So my thoughts on that are a little bit twofold. I'm not exactly sure about your meaning or your words. I'll just put it that way. I'm going to say that whenever I see auras, and Mandee can talk about this and attest to this too, because she works directly with that beautiful angelic realm and angelic team, and they do a lot of things within auras, colors, and what I see when I see that is actually orbs that flash in front of my eyes, which means people are seeing colors in their life, which means there's different angels, archangels in and around us at that time and space. And so I believe fully that you are, and I think that it's even beautiful because I'm going to dive in a little bit deeper. I'm going to give you guys both a round of applause because Spirit's doing this to me, which usually means you guys are to be congratulated right now, followed by this, like, woohoo, we did it. They're taking a step up with both of you, not just in your life. They're actually pushing your life to the side, but they're making me feel like you guys have almost essentially rekindled your connection with each other and your own relationship with each other without outside forces being involved in that. And I think he's trying as much as he can, but I'm also going to tell you that as a man, which I'm giving love to because men aren't taught to feel and receive those emotions and those feelings on a deeper level. Most of the time they're pushed off to the side and they're not acknowledged for men, and they don't give them that opportunity to feel, stop being a sissy. If you don't stop crying, blah, 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 like men are supposed to be these unbreakable freaking things. They're not. They aren't supposed to be. And so I think
all humans, and that's I'm glad you brought that up because that's a huge thing everybody needs to hold space for, and everyone's getting more emotional right now. This whole post-COVID chapter, moving into the Great Awakening that we've all been wanting to. A big part of that is the unthawing of our hearts at times, and there's been times where we're way too emotional, and then there's been times where we're not. And the poor men of our world, I give them a huge shout out anytime I can because their conditioning was worse than ours in a lot of ways, especially when it comes to mental health. And so tears water our soul garden in order to grow. Of course, you can get out of control with it, but for the most part, let it flow.
I was like, oh my gosh, we could have a whole ass show about that. I said that to Jennifer the other day too, because something was brought up. I was like, let's have a show. But what they're showing to me is that the little person inside of him has kind of been pushed off to the side a little bit. And I'm not talking smack about nothing. I just want you to know that. But they are making me feel like his little person is starting to come to the surface, and he's having a hard time kind of discerning what that means, because it's the first time in his life that he's allowed himself to really open up, feel, and experience his emotions. And they're making me feel like it's kind of you that's brought that out in him, because you've refused to sit on the side and allow yourself to just be a thing in life anymore. Okay, so you're kind of bringing that up with him, which is a true testament to the love that he has for you. And so as long as you can allow and understand, like, I look at this is a beautiful thing that Spirit has given me with relationships. we're not the same person through our life. Okay. Crystal's always going to have the name Crystal because that's the earthly given name. But our soul changes over and over and over, and we turn into different people over and over and over. That's what life is about. I'm not the same person today as I was when I was 20 years old. Okay. I'm not. And I'm grateful for that. And all of the pieces and parts of me have not been loved equally across the board. Okay. Crystal at 15 was a little bit of a snot, and I probably would have punched her in the face. Okay. Crystal at 28, also dealing with a lot of things. Not my particular favorite girl. But there are lots of pieces of those people that I absolutely love because they helped me dive in and become this person that I am today. And
I
so,
feel like I still would have had so much fun with you in high school.
oh God, I was fun. That was kind of my problem.
I still would have had fun.
Very quiet. People thought I was the most quiet person, but it was just because of who I was. But when it comes to that, maybe who he is right now, and maybe this portion of who he is right now is not necessarily the most acceptable to you or him, because I feel like he's having a hard time accepting himself because he doesn't understand all of those pieces and parts to him. But just understand he's going to be reborn. And so as long as he allows himself to receive, he is going to get through this. And I think that you two together are growing immensely. And I think that this dream was just a push for you to understand and recognize that all the work that you guys are doing together is coming together beautifully. And so they're really making me feel as though that was more of a holding space with you type of a dream, and also allowing you to understand that, you're doing the very best that you can. Sidestepping to that again, I'm going to tell you, that's why I said there's a lot of different things in this dream. Remember to be empathic, but truthful. Okay. Empathic, but honest. Don't keep yourself quiet just because you don't know if it's the right or wrong thing to say. And that's kind of where they're giving this. That they're literally like shutting it. Poof, that's it. That's all they got. But this is so important to you right now because this right here is what's helping you in your growth. And they're pointing at Mandee, which means you and Mandee have talked about this. I don't know what you and Mandee have talked about.
But they're making you. So
I was like, they're really making me feel like your throat chakra is like on fire right now, and you learning how to speak and communicate your emotions and feelings, wants and needs are very important right now. So no matter how sensitive he may be to a topic, remember it still needs to be communicated. Okay, so that's kind of what they're giving to me at the whole of this dream. It was a beautiful, huge message that they gave to you, although it seemed very small. It was huge. So go right ahead, Mandee.
I love that. And I love, all the things that you just commented on. But the cool thing I wanted to mention for Sophia too, because we talked a lot about, your husband and his energy, and Crystal gave you a great reading on that. But the first thing that came up for me from the angels was you had this massive moment where it says you either care or you don't. It happened in that moment, and this is like a reoccurring dream, right? And so that's really potent to say, like, you either care or you don't. And what I'm hearing from your higher self and from the whole situation is acceptance. It's an opportunity to say, you know what, regardless of how even the person I love the most feels, I'm not going to be attached to it, and I'm going to accept that, okay, that's their road right now. That's how it is. And if they care, great. And if they don't, that's okay too. I'm going to stay in this lane. And what happens is when we reach that amazing level of acceptance and it's unattachment, what happens is we really do activate our heart chakras and clear all kinds of things, because then we're truly stepping into this oneness, this sense of allowing the separation to happen. It's like, when you set a bird free, if it comes back it's yours, that kind of thing, that type of energy. It's really important to allow yourself to reflect and be like, you know what, I just let myself be unattached. And maybe that's what was coming up each and every time, especially in partnerships, because we rely on one another and we truly care so much about what our partners think. But the thing is, you guys are amazing partners and you love and trust one another unconditionally, and part of that is allowing things to be the way that they're going to be, and whatever feelings are happening at that time, whether they care or they don't, you are fully in an acceptance of it and can hold that amazing heart space, which is it's expansive. because our egos get out of the way and we're able to hold the space for the people that we love while they discover and they do the things that are lighting them up or they're wanting to do. And maybe it was a no at this time, but because you accept it and they get to go on their own path, it comes back in as a yes, even harder and better when the time is right. So I just saw like, yeah, massive heart chakra awakening because you're stepping into and playing around with the laws and levels of unattachment, which is really cool and really powerful and leads to even bigger unconditional love.
All the love, Sophia. You are doing so much for your life, and I love it. Miss Beth Schaefer, I love her, and I'm so grateful that she's taking this time to hold space because we had a deep conversation, and I can tell you, Mandee, I'm not going to get into much, but she is asking you for a card. And I told her to do so. I actually said, please get on, because she got some issues right now with trust. Okay. And she has every right to be somebody who is not trustful of certain things. She says, hi girls. I'm following Crystal's advice and asking if I am on the right track with my health situation. Thanks and lots of love. Thanks for all that you do. And I'm also going to say that I know that Beth would probably be very grateful, Mandee, if the angels gave you any insight at all into what some of that might mean for her, because she's got so much happening. And it's been going on for quite some time, and she's taxed. Like, she's done. Put a fork in poor Beth. She's done. She's tried it all. And unfortunately, it's a lot of medical manipulation, misdiagnosis. And
I
was like, there's a lot coming to the surface with this. And actually, Beth is the one that prompted me to do a show on misdiagnoses, which I will be doing on my YouTube channel soon, Beth. So I'm shutting up and giving Mandee the complete floor and muting me. So,
oh, stop it. Beth, thank you so much for showing up. Thanks for waking up today and breathing, even though things are really shitty and you're at the end of your rope. And the hard part about it and the blessing about it too is that this is an initiation for so many sensitives, so many healers, so many of us who are awakening into this newer time and age and dimension and realm where we get to rediscover the self-healers that we actually are. And the American medical system has let many, many, many of us down. I have severe vocal cord dysfunction that got misdiagnosed as asthma my whole life until shit went down. And then I got stabbed with EpiPens for like months and months and months because I didn't know what was wrong, but couldn't find my allergies. Plus I had gout for 10 years that got misdiagnosed as all kinds of stuff and created terrible joint damage and many, many other things. So I just want you to know, like, you are not alone. And I know a lot of other people on this thread right now can share the same exact things in their own journeys and ways of what happened to them. I can also share with you and tell you that every single time I got that medical door slammed in my face and I felt like I wasn't getting help, I wasn't loved, I wasn't held, I wasn't protected, I now look back and realize how many times I was being helped and that I was actually being protected by my angels, chills, right? From not, being hurt and harmed anymore. And though it can feel lonely and though it can feel like betrayal at times, and we're meant to, we were taught that our doctors are going to take care of us and our country's going to take care of us and our parents are going to take care of us, when it comes down to it, we get to learn that we're the ones who do that, and that there are incredible resources that we're not taught about that help us to heal. I literally remember, like, we talk about this all the time. It's in a link to this show, Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. This is like my number one go-to resource for the mental stuff that goes with everything that happens, because that's the hardest part, is rewiring our mind. And then my favorite for actually healing the physical stuff is Anthony Williams, the medical medium. Because I started doing all kinds of different foods and things that started to heal and change my body in massive ways that doctors told me not to do. I had a fear of fruit my whole life. Most of us did. Everybody who grew up in diet culture was terrified of fruit because, it's going to, make you gain weight and this and that. I pretty much ate fruit and sweet potatoes for a year and healed like insane, and celery juice. And these are things that I was told weren't great for me, and they ended up being amazing for me. And it was acquired taste, but I just want you to know that there is hope. There is beauty to this, and there's purpose to this. And even though you're feeling like every door is being closed in your face, it's because you're the door. And this is where the trust thing comes in, because when we can't trust our healers, when we can't trust those around us, what happens is we get left, we have to learn how to trust ourselves and trust spirit again. And the way that we do that is we start with like little tiny goals, and we show the fuck up for ourselves. Like little things like, I'm just going to get up every day at 7 a.m. and meditate. And if I can do that each and every day, cool. Or I'm going to drink 3 glasses of water today. Or I'm going to make sure today I go over 10 things I'm grateful for. Or whatever it is, if we set these tiny goals and then we start showing up for ourselves, all of a sudden we can start building trust. Doesn't matter who did what to you when, how it happened, any of that stuff. It all disappears because you start to step into your own realm. And so when we're feeling lack of trust, and this is for everybody, you too, Beth, but for everybody, like these are moments to step into yourself. And to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to step in and I'm going to show up for myself, and I'm going to learn how to build trust with myself. And don't start with something really hard, like a big, huge diet or cleanse or something that's going to like you're setting yourself up for failure. Work yourself into that as you build trust. Like I said, even if it's just a 10-minute bike ride or doing some yoga or pulling yourself a card each day or just setting some time down to journal, whatever it is, stick to that goal and start building those little moments of trust with yourself. Then what'll happen is you'll start getting present, and you'll start getting more and more signs from spirit and God and the angels and the universe. And then you'll really start to develop even more trust. And what happens is as you start developing trust with yourself and with spirit, then you invite in healthier relationships to really start trusting with others. And it's not fun. It's not easy. We all got to go through growing pains. We all, the best relationships have ups and downs. And that's how you learn to trust each other more. If everything's sunshine and daisies and you don't ever work through a conflict, you don't even have half of the capacity that you could possibly have in order to make like your partnership even more amazing. So like you see that where like people who were like enemies at one point and then become best friends because there was so much like adversity, and then like their adversary, and they saw like, how each other fought, and then they're able to like come into even more of peace and understanding. So just know that it's important to hold space for yourself and for others, especially if there's relationship growing pains going on too. All right. A few cards for Beth. Okay. I'm just pulling from a couple decks actually for Beth. Awesome. Okay. So they want you to know that you have a lot of spiritual support at this time. It is really important to tune in with yourself, to allow yourself to be open to receiving, because you do have angels, you do have guides, you do have ancestors who are there to help you. And if it's the littlest thing, like asking for a parking spot or asking for direction into what is the best, healing route for you in your health situation at this time, they will help you. They will connect with you. Other part is you are highly intuitive, and it is super important to trust your vibes. Even some of these like doctors, different things that betrayed you, that didn't feel right and all of that, you still kind of had a knowing. You still kind of had this feeling before you went that something wasn't quite right. And as you move forward into things that are meant for you, because sister, you are, I know you're at the end of your rope, but you are going to be hanging around and holding some soul space, because you do still have a lot of life force and new things coming to you. And so it's important to take that same energy and lesson and trust what is meant for you. And your intuition will tell you. Same time, here we go. The miracle of forgiveness. It's really important to step into like this. One of the best ways I forgive is to trust that I was protected. And that, even if I don't understand why this was happening, even if I don't understand why they did this or that, I got to trust that this was for my highest good, and that I'm protected at this time. So in whatever ways you can work on a little forgiveness and yourself, like a lot of times, like just not knowing or being blind to something, we can be really hard on ourselves and be like, oh man, I wish I knew. Like this Louise book, I'm like, oh my God, the first time I like this really came into my consciousness, I'm like, why didn't anybody give me this 20 years ago? Like there was like some moments of anger. And then I was like, okay, it was all divine. This is when I was meant to receive this information. That which I need to know will be revealed. Then you get two amazing things come in. Father Sky, trust in the unknown. So you are very meant to be working on this trust work within yourself and within your own healing journey, and calling on the higher spirits in order to guide you and help you with that. And then last but not least, the lady, enjoy growth and reap the rewards. Like literally, I don't know what exactly all your diagnoses are, but I am just seeing, and I'm not a medical medium. Crystal's not either, but we get a lot of information from guides and stuff. And I do literally just see a lot of fruits and veggies and sunlight and water and rest and a little bit of yoga if you can, and just moving that energy, and wonderful things are going to start happening for you and to you and within your body. So just know that great rewards are coming. It's going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take some heart healing, some mental healing, some physical healing, but you're in it to win it, and you are here for a reason, and we are grateful for you. And maybe just challenge yourself this week to one little thing that you can build some trust with yourself with. Even if it's just calling and bitching at doctors each day for 5 days in a row because you got to get it off your chest and you're sick of them. Of course, I'd rather it be something like, journaling or some meditation or something, but whatever works right now. And just find one little goal that you can stick to, Beth, to build some trust with yourself. I hope that helps.
I'm also going to say, like, something came to me yesterday. Like, Spirit's been hitting me hard with a lot of my own healing, and Beth and we don't have the same experience at all. Beth, don't hear me say that. You're going through some shit, okay? Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, you are going through it right now, and yes. I pray to God that something starts to flip and change for you, because once that starts to happen and you see that momentum in a different way, a more positive way, that's going to help give you that boost that you need. My guide's struggle with autoimmune diseases has been so rough for me. But also this weirdness comes into my head. Like, I never had these issues or problems before. Yes, I had certain things pop up, but it was literally like I injured myself during something. So it never made sense to me how I could be diagnosed with these autoimmune diseases. Like, poof, okay? Didn't make sense. That's still something that I've thought about throughout the process of all of my pain and all of those things. Yesterday, I went outside to get a 5-gallon thing of water. I can't carry it because of my shoulder injury. So I got my son, texted him, was like, hey, I need to refill the jug of water. Can you come in and carry it for me? In that moment, my guides went poof and gave me this information. And they said, it's not that you can't carry it. It's that other situations, conversations, and things have made you feel as though you're not powerful enough to carry it. My autoimmune diseases have manifested in a way in my life after my second marriage took place, which was my most traumatic mental, emotional experience. And it made me feel so powerless, not only to myself, but also to spirit. And so these are physical manifestations of my own inferior thinking, because my power has been stripped from me my whole entire life. And so now at 42, when I should be feeling everything good and getting on the right track, I have all these medical things taking that away from me and making me feel like I can. It's just manifested in a physical way, because the mental emotional trauma has to be seen for us to experience it and finally start the healing process. And I think a lot of what you're going through is more mental and emotional than it is physical. I know you don't want to hear that, because a lot of people take offense when people say stuff like that. I'm not saying you're mental. I'm not saying you are emotional. I'm not saying you are making this up. No, to the contrary. You've been through hell. You've experienced a lot of crap. You've had a lot of negative experiences, and you didn't have time to heal because Beth kept going. And so because you kept getting back on that horse and having to ride through life, you never had time to focus on all of that mental, emotional stress. And so now physically it's coming up and it's manifesting itself in different ways to hold you in a space of finally honing in on what Beth truly needs, which is love and embracing herself, her needs, her wants, and not focusing on other people and trying to make everybody else happy. And so, are you experiencing these things? Abso-flippin-lutely. Are they diagnoses? Yes, they probably are, because everybody can give you a diagnosis.
And your pain is real. Your pain is totally real.
Exactly.
But what Crystal's explaining is it's a side that actually the body is a faithful servant of our mind. And we think like all of a sudden, oh my God, I got, this cut out of nowhere. But really it's because of the thoughts we were thinking and what we attracted in at that time. And it's the same thing with our autoimmune. And none of us are taught this. None of us are taught this, and this is what we're all discovering. That's the incredible work that Crystal's talking about and sharing and being vulnerable about. Not fun or easy, but we were misguided. And once you figure out like how our bodies and minds and things actually work, then we realize like all the disease we created within our own bodies because of our thoughts. And so it's hard, but it's where the freedom lies and where the juiciness is and where the next opportunity for freedom is.
And if you have your power taken, it's going to come up in different ways. So I was just like, in that moment, it was one of those, oh, like crap, I get it. Why did it take me 42 years?
Nice, Maggie. You were checking your glass box for a reason.
So there's this beautiful release, but there's also a frustration in that moment too. How come I didn't see it a little bit sooner? Because I know I'm a powerful, wonderful person. I know I am, but that's also been told to me that those are all the things that are wrong with me. And so the very person I am, the very person I contracted to be, just because other people don't like that in me, just because other people don't like to hear that realness, that rawness and experience all of who I am, they tried to make me feel like that was bad. It never was bad. It was bad for them because they didn't like me to hold them accountable for the bullshit they were putting on my table. And so just keep that in mind if you see yourself. And I know Beth is a powerful freaking being. And I know that she is somebody who lives with honesty, truthful, and a set of morals that nobody can take her off her compass. So I hold nothing but absolute love for you, Beth. And I do pray for you and your experiences going further. I'm not going to read all the comments. However, I am going to say, yes, Terry, I felt like the 2 weeks. She says it's been a couple weeks for retrograde energy. So yeah, it makes sense. Andrea, thank you. Thank you for saying I'm amazing. I'm hoping to get back there at some point in time. I'm grateful you had a great experience. This one I am going to put up, and this one I am because I think it's good. Jennifer says, can you teach how to get through sticky stuff? What I mean by that is in a way I transfer the information. It comes through for me in a dump. And sometimes those messages are sticky in a way, and they are sticky in a way, and I want to learn how to turn that into a more tender way of giving information.
Oh, good question.
So, do you have anything, Mandee, before I lay it on there? Go ahead. I was gonna say I'll let you go first.
You want me to go first?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I teach about this all the time because I'm a healer's healer. So I teach a lot of healers how to share information and how to be integral while holding space for others to transform. And my favorite definition of a healer is someone who triggers within you the ability to heal yourself. Because like I was talking about before, we're all self-healers, and the only one who can actually heal you is you. Even your doctors and stuff, like, yeah, you could get some surgery, but after that, you still got to be the one whose body keeps healing and moving, and you got to show up if you break your leg and do the physical therapy. So when it comes to teaching about sticky stuff, what I always encourage people to do is to take a breath. And this is for everyone too. You don't have to be a healer. You can be a mom or a coworker or a friend, and you find, kind of that lump in your throat, these things that come up where you're like, okay, I want to share, I want to speak. I'm not quite sure how to do that because some of these things are harder to talk about. Sometimes there's a lot of information that comes in at once, and that's where we get to truly sit and practice the art of discernment. And it's important to take a moment and see what information is coming in and put it like in a container in front of you, and take a few breaths and then discern and decipher what's important at this time. For me, I always try my best to lead with love and lead with integrity. And I am blessed and tortured to be able to see so many people on their path and where they're at right now, and like when they'll get certain lessons or what needs to happen in order for them to understand this. And so it's so important to be mindful of the consciousness that you're working with. And you learn this a lot in psychology and things. And we want to share information with people, but we want to make sure it's for the highest good at that time. So I always ask the angels, is this for the highest good at this time? And you will get a resounding, overwhelming yes or no right in your stomach and right in your higher heart. And it'll tell you like, yep, it's safe for me to share this information, or, why don't we wait a little bit and be, a little more mindful or a little more gentle around it. And when it comes from love, like, it's so important to make sure that you just speak, from the heart and from your truth. And so I saw also, I'm looking at the comment too, that Jennifer said it can come off as blunt, if that makes sense. And blunt isn't for everyone. So I want to add up on that part with it too, because it's true. Like, you're not for everyone. I'm not for everyone. Nobody's for everyone. However, we know the difference when we're speaking truth from our heart and when we're being a jerk. And if you're doing it from your heart with love and with integrity, and you could, say like, I want to share this with you. This could be some harder information to hear. Are you ready for that right now? Do you want to take it? And I'll say that with my clients all the time, like, hey, there's some things that could be, I like to call it paradigm shifting or reality shifting, or bring up some really big stuff in your consciousness. Do you want to go that deep today? You ready to hear about that today? Are we ready? And really, like, it's like that moment of going deep, and most people can resonate with that. And they're like, you know what? I got to go have lunch with my mom right now. I got to do this later, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't have time to go deep because I don't know what it's going to open. And then there's some people who are like, yep, I want to go super deep. Like, give it to me raw, slap me around, tell me what I need to know. And even then, like, all of us, it comes down to our own self. If Crystal tells you it, if I tell you it, if Jen tells you it, whoever it is, you still get to take that with a grain of salt and decide if it's for you or not. So the best thing that I like to do in a nutshell for that, Jen, is to take a breath, to really see the information that comes in, decipher it, discern it, ask if it's for the highest good to share. A really good example, I had a client who was dating someone, and she was getting all of these dreams and visions of his daughter dying. And it was like his daughter that he was like estranged from, and different things were happening. And she was like, I feel like I should tell him. I feel like it could happen anytime, like maybe like in December or something. And she was getting all these different messages, and all this stuff was coming in, and she was getting numbers. And I was like, sister, I have no doubt that you're getting information, that things are coming in. I think it's important you put it in your container for a while and really choose whether or not this information is something to share. I said a lot of times it could be from a past life. It could be a different type of symbolism coming up in order to share a different type of energy. It could just be symbolizing the end of the relationship, or energetically, she might not want to talk to him right now. Like, there could be a lot of things happening, and it's really important to make sure that, you're not sharing things as fact, that might just be a feeling, or you're not really sure what's happening. So stuff like that, it's really important to sit, to know, and to be really careful and mindful of what and how you share things with people. And when you first, really start tapping into your psychic gifts, when things start really coming in, and this is for everybody, not Jen, but for everybody, like, it can be overwhelming, and there can be a lot, and it can be sudden, and sometimes, scary like that, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to come and share it all as truth right in that moment. Like, you could just say, hey, I had this experience. This is what happened. I don't know what it all means together. My thoughts are it means this, but I'm really not quite sure. And so I just think honesty, communication, clarity, and amazing discernment are the most important parts of that container. And if it feels sticky and it doesn't feel like super, open and easy, sometimes sticky just means to pause for a little bit. Sit with it for a while, and then when the time is right, the container will become more clear to be able to share. So I hope that helps. And always, share from the heart, and always discern if it's for the highest good at that moment, and ask, who you're sitting with, if they're able to receive at that time. And if they're not, they're not. And if they are, great. And it's all divine timing and perfect.
I'm going to add to that. And I'm also going to say, hey, Mandee, do you want to go back to Michelle? I don't know if she's still watching, but she was like, this at one point in time. And I was wondering if you just wanted to pull a general card for her, because she was the first, but she didn't respond back. So I don't know if we just want to hold space with her or anything.
Michelle, if you're still here, drop a comment.
But Jennifer, I want to add to that just a little bit. Everything Mandee said, and I'm only adding to it because everything she said is accurate AF. Everything. There's a difference between channeling energies. Mandee really connects with higher realm people. I'll say people. Really higher realm. I don't know. She would have to tell us if she connects with lower realm things. And in connecting with things that are lower vibrational and or things that are earthbound, we have to remember that sometimes people on the other side are also coming from a place of ego because they have not fully crossed over yet. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of information. That's why I said I'm only adding to it. I'm not going to make this 20 minutes or anything like that, because she just gave you beautiful advice. When dealing with these things, there are different channelers for different things. Okay. And being blunt and being honest is a wonderful, beautiful gift. I have that too, by the way. Spirit, though, when channeling for people, I'm not blunt and honest. I'm very empathic. I'm very loving. Spirit gives everybody what they need. If they need it in sarcasm, it's delivered in sarcasm. If they need a little bit of a punch to the gut, like get off your ass and do something, that's how they give it to them. It's dependent on the person that it's coming through as. But, and this is a big but, you have to have rules. You have to have regulations. You have to have boundaries of spirit. You have them with humans. You have to set that up with your intentions. And as you take this step up in your own channeling and trying to learn how to discern what's coming through, how it's coming through, if you don't make that intention clear to your gatekeepers, which are your guides, they're going to give you every effing thing in the book, and they're going to say, deal with it. Why? Because you didn't have the boundaries. And so it's a way to teach you, because you also are stubborn. You also are a little hard-headed. You're also a little bit harder to come through in sometimes. And so they're going to lead you by example in saying, okay, so did you like that or didn't you like that? Because you're not giving us any way to go. And so when I sat down with a list of intentions that I wanted Spirit to provide through me, through what I was hoping to help people with in their life. And it came based off from love. I want everything to be given through a state of love and empathy, because I think everybody needs to be helped with that space. Secondary to that, you have to have discernment and you have to have boundaries. Do you want to channel higher vibrations or lower vibrations? Do you want to have that open to your space during actual channeling with people and clients? Because I won't. Because we're coming in a place of healing and moving forward. And so we can't hold space with people who are not in a level 2 or higher. Why? Because they're not taking responsibility for their life and their life decisions and choices. And so we have to make them be accountable, or else there's no reason to waste time. Okay. However, in investigations, I hold space with everything and everybody. Lower vibrational as well. I can see demons. I can talk to them. I can sit with them. I don't care. It's a lack of judgment in that space. And that's when Spirit's allowed to come through me. And that's when I'm allowed to see and sit with those things. So you're going to have to kind of decide what it is that you want, how you need to move through, and what you want to receive, what you want that to feel like for you, and where your safe spots are. And that's through you communicating all of those ins and outs with every experience that you have and hold space with to your guides, your gatekeepers. And so you have to have an intention moving forward. They're literally like, she ain't got no intentions with it. She just like throwing it all on the table, hoping like hell something sticks herself. And so you're learning and you're growing and you're inviting them in and you're holding that space. But right now you don't really have that grounding with your team the way that you need. And my team is my best friend, because not only do I have a protection team, I have a channeling team, I have this team, and all of them have a job and guide me through life. They are my best friends. And without them, I couldn't do this job, because they're the ones that give me what I need to know and how it needs to come through. And so that's one of those avenues that they're making me feel like you need to get that connection with them. You've got the connection with Spirit. You always have. That's not the problem with you. You can always see, receive, and understand. The problem is how it comes through and how it's going to be best interpreted through you. I have a system where we put up a stop sign. There's a lot of information that doesn't get passed in readings. And the reason is because people are not ready to receive it. And so when that happens, they put up their hand for me. And I know this is for you to understand the situation, Crystal. It is not for you to channel. And so that's something that we have. That's a symbol and a sign that I have in that moment to stop me from proceeding with that information, to move on with this conversation instead, because the conversations are like 10 of them all at once, dropping down upon me, along with the thoughts, feelings, emotions, ego, imagery, and senses. And then I have to make that make sense out in words. And that's one of those things that I think you also receive. I think you receive it all. And that's what you're talking about in the dumping that takes place. So it's all those things dumping upon you. And it's like, bleh. How do I say it all? You don't want to miss something. You won't. Spirit will keep going and you will keep receiving. And it's just how quickly. It's called shotgun channeling, by the way. If you want to look that up, it's an actual way in which people channel. It's called shotgun channeling. That's what I do. It's information coming in and going out of your mouth really fast. And people are like, well, she talks like she's on espresso. Well, that's because Spirit's like, whew. So You have to discern how you want to receive that information. And as Mandee stated, I think the most important thing, generally speaking, I will stop myself. My integrity in this is I always want to be honest with everything that I do and I say. And so when it comes in and something happens, I'll kind of look at the client. I'll be like, okay, now before I move forward, do you want me to be honest with what I'm receiving right now? Because there's something involved in this that like maybe you don't want to hear or might bring up some emotions or might trigger something. And so is it okay for me to proceed with honesty? If they say no, that's okay. And spirit knows then that it's not time for them to receive, and they will either have somebody else pulled in or they will continue the conversation and go in a different path. Sometimes if somebody's really stuck and they're there for that reason, they will actually shut the reading down completely. And they'll say they're not ready to receive because this is what they're here for and this isn't what they want to receive today. And so, Crystal, you can't channel for them. It is what it is.
It's
You
all
have
about
to be open.
That's like a universal energy.
Yep, I actually say that before my readings. I thank everybody, including their team, and I say just so we're all open and understanding. The verbal consent with them was them contacting me for this reading to begin with, and so they have given me consent to know past, present, and future events and situations with rawness and integrity to help them move forward in their space. And so that's one of those things that I do try to make sure that I hold space with also. And I'm also going to say, like, if you guys ever want me to do something like this on the Spirit Speaks thing that I do, I'll answer these questions also. So like that's also what I'm trying to do as well, is teach people how to understand and interpret spirit. With them, it comes through differently for all of us. It's not the same for all of us. We're all different channelers. And so just remember that inside of yourself. And it is 5:06. And I know there's a lot more comments, and I'm sorry, I would love to read them all, but I got stuff to do myself today, like 5:30. So we're gonna have to shut it down. And we're going to have to hold space with you guys on next Monday if we're all available. And I want Miss Mandee to tell us about herself, where we can receive her, what's going and how you guys can connect.
Yes. 2 things. One, seagoddesshealingarts.com. If you made it this far and you want to hold one-on-one soul space with me or get a reading, I offer a 50% off for all of my services called Mandee Live. You just got to type in Mandee Live, and that's my gift to you for holding space and being with us at the end of each of our amazing shows. Secondly, I'm going to just pull us all a couple cards for the week, so that way we can all receive real quick. All right. We've got Earth. This is from the Rebecca Campbell Starseed deck. Earth pulsing, pulse of the mother, slow down time in nature. As we're heading into this post-Mercury retrograde shadow, it is so important to really find your own heartbeat, find your pulse. Best way you can do that is to get outside, to breathe with nature, get your bare feet on the earth, literally hug a tree, anything you can do to really let yourself be and be held and know you're held at this time. It's so important. Also, I remember soul plan, the fated life versus the destiny life. There's a lot of confirmation to the things we were discussing tonight, and really choosing between our actions, our reactions, and our responses, and remembering we all chose to be here on our best days, on our worst days. The things that we feel like happened to us, like they may have happened to us, and really bad things happen to us, all of us. However, there's almost always purpose to that pain, and there's a reason we're here for that. And your soul remembers on an intuitive level that you want to be here. That's why you are waking up, breathing, doing this life thing, this earth school again. And it's so important to allow yourself to know some things are a little predestined, but we always have the choice of free will. And that's the beautiful dance we get to do down here at Earth School. So just know that it's so important to integrate those two at this time. Then last but not least, Breath of the Cosmos, my will to thy will, micromanaging the universe. I was just talking about this with someone I'm close with, and one of my favorite quotes is by Oprah, and it's about luck, and she explains that luck is preparation meeting the opportunity. And it's so important to prepare and to show up and to do your best that you can. But then also, as we talked about with Sophia, release some of the attachment and trust that the universe might have things beyond your wildest dreams lined up for you. And if you show up and you do the best you can do each day, then you can also also trust that the universe is bringing even more. And if you find that you're focusing on something or you're wanting something and it's getting blocked and it's not happening, it's important to not micromanage the universe and trust that that's happening for the highest good too. And a great example is a lot of people use this in relationships or they try to make things work. And I always encourage them to say, hey, it's going to be that one or something better. And it's so important to allow yourself to just be in the energies or in the moments and realize you're not missing out on anything and you are loved and you are protected. So I hope that helps everyone as we sew up these Mercury retrograde energies. And thank you. Thank you all for showing up and being you and doing her Earth School each and every day. We love and appreciate you. And if we can help you in any way, please let us know. And Online Soul Circle coming on up in a couple weeks. Check it out on our Sea Goddess Healing Arts website. Crystal, how can people get a hold of you?
I am Mitten Medium, and you can also catch me on my YouTube channel, which is Spirit Speaks with Mitten Medium. And I love you, Mandee. I love you guys all. You're all amazing. And I just love how we all show up for each other and ask the real raw questions. I think you guys need to give yourself like a huge pat on the back for being real and honest and allowing all of us to hold space with you. And thank you so very much for the new people that came in today. We appreciate you all. Hope to see you guys next Monday. Thank you.